Good morning, everybody. It is September 30th, 2015, and I'm Cindy K. Courier, coming to you from my undisclosed location on the road. And as you can see from the window, it's been raining here where I am. Rain and thunder and pretty dynamic weather. But I wanted to come to you with some information that broke a little earlier, a couple months ago, that I wanted to share with you that I think is very interesting. And forgive the fan on my computer. Sometimes it goes haywire like that. Here's an article that appeared in truthernews.wordpress.com by David Chase Taylor, who is a whistleblower, a CIA whistleblower. And this article is entitled Babylon Falling, CERN Identified as Secret Entrance to Subterranean CIA Headquarters Beneath Lake Geneva in Switzerland. Interesting photograph here. Of course, the author leaves a note pretty much anytime he writes an article. He leaves a note that he has applied for political asylum, as he feels that he's otherwise at risk exposing this information. Out of Zurich, Switzerland, I'll begin reading. Because CERN is the largest and most advanced nuclear and particle physics laboratory in the world, security at the top secret facility is the most stringent on Earth. Consequently, it's the perfect place to hide the entrance to the one and only Central Intelligence Agency. As originally depicted in the March 31st, 2015 Truther.org report entitled 10 Reasons Why Switzerland is Home to the CIA, hard evidence now confirms that Switzerland is in fact harboring the CIA. However, exactly where CIA headquarters is located within Switzerland has remained a mystery until now. In short, CERN serves as the secret entrance to CIA headquarters, which is located in the underwater alpine canyons of Lake Geneva, a lake so deep that it has to be explored by Mir-1 and Mir-2 Russian submarines, which are known for their ability to dive up to 6,000 meters, which is 19,685 feet. Consequently, CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva is only accessible via underground trains from CERN and via submarines, which travel through 275-kilometer, 175-mile subterranean tunnel, which evidently begins in Genova, Italy, and ends at Lake Geneva. Although only conjecture, it appears that Sub-Biosphere 2 is modeled after CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva. This notion is based on the fact that the Sub-Biosphere 2 mimics the big European bubble chamber, which evidently serves as the central command center. And I'm going to leave the link to this article so that you can finish it on your own below the video. So if there is a secret CIA headquarters, I got to wondering if maybe that might explain. This was uploaded by Amy2X. Thank you, Amy2X, back in December 11th, 2010. Take a listen to this.
All right. What about the $1 trillion plus in expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet since last September? Have you conducted any investigations regarding that?
Right now we have a, we call it a review, and so I don't know if the term investigation may have different connotations. So we're actually conducting a fairly high-level review of the various lending facilities collectively, which would include, the TALF, a variety of the different programs that are in process. So we're looking at them at a fairly high level to identify risk.
Well, I understand that, but we're talking about events that started unfolding 8 months ago. Have you reached any conclusions about the Fed expanding its balance sheet by over $1 trillion since last September?
We have not yet reached any conclusions.
Do you know who received that money?
For we're in the process right now of doing our review, and
Right, but you're the Inspector General. My question to you specifically is, do you know who received that $1 trillion plus that the Fed extended and put on its balance sheet since last September? Do you know the identity of the recipients?
I do not know. We have not looked at that.
Okay, you get the idea. That's a long, painful video. It's not all that long, but it is a painful video to watch as this person tries to dance around the question of where this money ended up. You could find multiple videos and multiple hearings demanding to know where all kinds of money has gone. And I think now we're realizing, you know, before we talked about the underground bases, and now we see we've got an underground, underwater CIA headquarters, which may explain a lot of missing money. Now, I wanted to share something else with you that came out in 2012. And it correlates with some things that other people are saying. And I don't necessarily follow or buy into everything that all of the intel people say. What I do is, when I see correlations between what various intel people say, then I pay attention and perk up. So there's been a few correlations between some things that Benjamin Fulford has said, that Drake Bailey has said, that David Wilcock has said, and that a guy named Tolick has said. Now, I'll let you research these names to see who they all are. My personal opinion is that they each deliver disinformation with misinformation with some accurate information. And I look for correlations between the people's reports. And this is one area where I've seen a correlation. And I want to share that one area with you right now. This is an interview that Tolick did. This was uploaded by Tim Bravo, April 6, 2012, on a radio show called Extraordinary Year. And again, I'll let you research who Tolick is, but I'd like to play about 10 minutes of this interview with you so that Tolick can share with you something that he has discovered.
So, here's what I've learned, and I'll dive into the story, and I'll pace it as at a medium pace and touch on the details as well. The final undersea reptilian base, the one run by the Draco and Hydra reptilians underneath the ocean on this planet.
Okay, in case you are not aware, and you've been watching my videos, then you are aware of, I've called them subterranean beings, I've called them off-world beings, but they would be the same beings that Tolick is referring to here as Draco reptilian beings.
The search for that base was begun on March the 9th. They actually found it, the people from Procyon, combined with some other Andromeda Council team members, they actually found it on March 16th. It took that long to find it because, among other many fourth-dimensional beings that have a whole bunch of technology at their disposal, they being the reptilians, have some really good holographic technology. And they had a pretty large hologram covering the ocean ridge and basin where this undersea base was located. So they couldn't see it. They couldn't plainly see it because it wasn't distinguishable. It looked like the rest of the ocean ridge and the basin around it. After X number of days on March 16, they finally found it, identified it, in a manner of speaking, busted through the front door. That was really difficult because once they found it, they discovered a quarter-mile thick, I'm going to borrow from a science fiction term, they found a quarter-mile thick energy force field protecting this large base complex. So they pounded on that thing enough, finally busted through, And the they is 75 Delta Strike Force kind of guys from Procyon and 25 direct Andromeda Council Special Force team members that were working together. So you got 100 Strike Force guys that were going after this base with whatever ships they're using. Now I'll describe the buildings in terms of what they found. Most people are really visual. Think of, in the old West, a wagon wheel. So you have a large hub with spokes. This large base complex was in the shape of a wagon wheel with a large center hub, 10 floors, 10 stories high, about 100 feet in height, and approximately 50 to 60 feet in diameter. Now, before I continue, I'm going to qualify all of this by saying, how do I know all of these details? Well, the answer is, as I talk to the commander, he and I are talking telepathically, mind to mind, my mind, his mind to my mind. Simultaneously, he's also showing me the images of what they found, of what these guys saw as they were breaking into this base. So they're not real-time images, but I'm getting images of what they saw undersea in the water. So you have this base complex, hub and spoke. The hub is 10 floors, 100 feet high, 50 to 60 feet in diameter. The spokes, if you will, are 6 electronic transport tunnels or transport tubes, if you will. Each of those transport tubes is about a quarter-mile long in length, of course, traveling outward from the center of the hub. At the end of each transport tube is 3 separate buildings of 6 floors each. So if you're looking at 6 transport tubes, spokes, 3 separate buildings, now you're looking at 18 buildings in total that all needed to be completely searched. In addition to the 3 buildings found at the end of each spoke, 18 in total, they also found 2 smaller survival pods. Now here's a smaller kind of reference. Those survival pods, each one of them, were 95 feet in diameter and 3 stories, 3 floors each. And they're each self-contained, provisions, sleeping, a greenhouse to grow plants, water. You get the idea. So with this many number of survival pods, they could, if they were able, save 3,600 reptilian people out of this whole base. I'll go back to the hub for a moment. The hub operation is where they ran their military ops out of, all operations for the complex, administration, support workers. You get the idea. It's kind of like a corporate complex. What did they find, or rather, who did they find in terms of people in this base complex? And actually, before I jump ahead to the topic of people, Tim, do you have any questions about the things I just reviewed?
Yeah, actually, one question I have is, did any of the crew from the reptilian base make it out in the pods before the strike force got in?
No, okay. They didn't, and they didn't because the operation on the part of the guys from Procyon and Andromeda Council was very, very much a stealth operation. You got 100 guys, just a few smaller ships running stealth. Very, very, very stealth operation. And the reason is because, well, there's a few reasons. One is this was the very last Draco and Hydra reptilian-run undersea base on the planet. Massive complex. There's nowhere else for them to go. So
yay!
You don't want to go. Yeah, that's good news. The bad news is you don't want to advertise you're coming. You don't want to go. You don't want to go in there, guns blazing, blasting stuff, because if you do that, they're gonna know about you somehow. Especially higher dimensional beings. Their telepathy is a natural skill that they have. So this thing had to be run really stealth. So it was run stealth, and they were successful in attacking, capturing, and or eliminating some of the reptilian beings they found in the base. But in this particular base, no, nobody had escaped. There were some escapees from some of the other bases, but guess where they ran? This base. They actually ran to the base that was in the southeast bay of Bengal, the one I call the pencil-shaped base. They ran there first because we hit a few others before that. And then after we took that base out, they came to this one because it was the last one, so there's nowhere else for them to go.
And then I suppose you're going to tell us what happened to the folks who were in there.
Right, that's next.
Okay.
I can tell you, yeah. All right, here we go. Numbers. The people from Procyon and the Andromeda Council team members found, and keep in mind, this base, in terms of people, was bigger than they thought, in terms of personnel. They found 10,000 plus reptilians in this undersea base complex. Of the 10,000 plus, I'm now going to give a breakdown. 2,000 reptilian warrior soldiers, all high-ranking officers. 5,000 support staff working in various operations of the base. 3,000 combined Cabal, Illuminati, top key officials, middle management, administrators, and lower-end soldiers. 2,000 of these 3,000 Cabal and Illuminati were genetically blended and created reptilian-human hybrids. Now I'm going to stop for a moment and at least describe this. I'll give the elevator ride version of this. I'll just speak for myself. When I speak of reptilian-human hybrids, I'm talking about beings that were created from a pool of original organic genetic reptilian DNA and human DNA that they have on stock. And so essentially they put the two in a petri dish, they grow them in a nutrient solution, and when they're done, they're birthed, and they kind of look like age 19 or 20, but they are human-looking with reptilian features. All right?
Okay.
So continuing. Of the many other reptilian officials that the people from Procyon captured were 50 top key Cabal Illuminati reptilian hybrid officials. We're talking about the top of the food chain. The guys that are giving the orders to the human folks on land in the tops of the different power and government structures. Again, keep in mind, right now I'm talking about all reptilian human hybrids that are in this base. They're at the top of this power structure, giving you orders to, if you will, what people call the puppets, the guys who are in seats of quote-unquote governments. They also found 100 key Cabal Illuminati reptilian human hybrid administrators. Guys get the work done. Day-to-day guys. So you've got 10,000 plus reptilians. I just gave everybody a breakdown. I'm aware of the fact that 8,000 of these, I'm going to speak globally now, 8,000 of these reptilian beings, most of the support workers chose relocation to go through the Stargate to the far edge of the universe. And as is a typical process and a protocol, the people from the Andromeda Council offer them pretty much two choices. Either choose relocation to go to this planet at the far edge of the universe, and you're going to be there for the rest of your lives. There's basically a gate code. Y'all can't get back to Earth. It's not going to happen. Or you can be captured and go to the Andromeda Council biosphere for trial. And there were 8,000 of these people to choose to continue their lives in this new planet at the far edge of the universe.
So you're saying that 8,000 of the 10,000 chose to just go ahead and be flung out into the far reaches of the cosmos rather than be tried.
Right, and
okay.
Right, and these 8,000 of these 8,000 of them, they were mostly support workers. Okay, operations guys that work at their station every single day, admin guys, engineers, scientists, guys that work for a living, if you will. The majority of the 2,000 plus that got transferred to the Andromeda Council biosphere were the high-level officers, military officers, and high-level Cabal and Illuminati officials. Those are the guys that are, the most arrogant, are used to having the most power. And of those people at the top, two were reptilian officers, what we on Earth would call one being a 5-star general and the other being a 2-star general. And again, the majority of these reptilian warrior soldiers, both the officers as well as Cabal Illuminati officials, reptilian human hybrid mix, they are being held right now in the primary Andromeda Council biosphere for military debriefing and trial. And I'm pretty much going to read a statement. The commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere said, "We as the Andromeda Council are providing this assistance to put them through the Council's judicial system until the until the Joint Earth Council is established and a war crimes tribunal. A war crimes tribunal is established within that body that can try beings like these who have committed multiple atrocities against the people of Earth." So,
okay, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? If you've not been delving into this subject of subterranean beings, of Draco-reptilian hybrids, those kinds of things, delve into that, because that's what we're dealing with. Now, Tolek's report coincides time-wise with Drake Bailey's report that mass arrests were imminent. Mass arrests of government leaders who have abused the people were imminent. This came after, in Tolek and Drake's information, according to Tolek, is totally separate. Their sources are separate. They're unrelated. So it would make sense that Drake would be saying, that they would be thinking, okay, we're going to be arresting a lot of the humans here on Earth because the subterranean, or the underwater biosphere base that held the leadership and the top brass, so to speak, had been broken into and those people arrested. So if you buy into all of that, what you're left with is that the government leaders on Earth are left without their command. And were left without their command structure 3 years ago, and have been flailing for 3 years trying to hold this thing together. And that makes sense with what out of what we've been seeing over the last 3 years geopolitically, some of which is really happening and much of which is made up in the studio. And this also makes sense of Ed Chiarini's work, which he believes proves that most, if not all, of our government leaders are Hollywood actors in these roles, actually doing these roles, but they're professional actors, makeup artists, can switch identities really quick. According to him, we've got 6 or 7 families of people intermarrying to hold their cover. Yeah, like, their sisters are their spouse, that kind of stuff. And holding this facade together in that way. So that's a whole other subject. This video has been long enough. I do want to share with you another article. This one, I'm not going to read it, but I will post it below the video, that coincides with Tolek's claim of the undersea base, which has been reported by other sources as well. I will put these links below the video. Thank you for listening, and I do have more stuff to bring to you, which I will bring later. So